Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. I'm Peter Martin, delighted to have your company on this Wednesday. As ever, Alan Ruff alongside me. And it's Wednesday, it must be Barry Ferguson. He is in his position and we've got quite a lot to talk about. Yes, as one manager leaves, another one comes in, and it's the start of a second time around for Neil Lennon. We'll get Ruffy and Barry's thoughts on it, but here is the tale of the tape for the new man at Celtic.
Neil Lennon has today been unveiled as the Celtic manager for the second time in his career. Lennon captained the club as a player and took his first managerial role at the club in 2010. He was in charge at Parkhead for just over 4 years. Lennon won the first 3 titles of the current 7 in a row and also added 2 Scottish Cups to the trophy cabinet. He managed Celtic 227 times, only losing 39 games, and boasts an impressive 70% win ratio, which, for those who are wondering, is 0.2% higher than his predecessor. The new manager can also point to success in Europe, unlike Rodgers, as he took them into the last 16 of the Champions League and, of course, the famous 2-1 win over Barcelona in 2012. Since he left in 2014, Lennon had a mixed spell down at Bolton and a highly successful one at Hibs, leading them to the Championship title and a 4th place finish in their first year back in the Premiership. Lennon may not have won a treble like Brendan Rodgers, but he is in a great position to deliver the treble this season, and with his knowledge of the club, the Celtic hierarchy believe there is no one better out there to do so than Lennon himself.
Well, what do you think? Give us your view on Facebook, on YouTube, and of course on Twitter as well. We'll be reading out some of your posts on Facebook, getting an immediate reaction to the appointment of Neil Lennon. Jack already saying that it's a welcome home for Neil Lennon. And of course, it's an interesting start for him because he's straight in there against Hearts at Tynecastle. First and foremost, Barry, no surprise to you or I, because for a long period of time, I've always thought Brendan was on the way. We called it this week.
Yep, I wasn't surprised that he wanted to go back down to the Premier League. I think that's the place that most managers and most players want to go and ply their trade. I'm just a bit shocked at the timing of it, but do you know what? He's away now, and I think the vast majority, if not all the Celtic fans, will be delighted to have brought in to replace him, Neil Lennon. I think he knows the club inside out. He knows the demands and whatever what it's like to be a Celtic player and a Celtic manager. So I'm guessing that the vast majority of Celtic fans will be delighted.
Yeah, if anything, Ruffy, over the last 24 hours, especially on social media, there's a pain among the Celtic fans on 2 fronts. One is the timing of Brendan Rodgers' departure, and the second one is this, declaring your love for the club, and then suddenly you've got the blue and white scarf and you're back down there to Leicester City. There are a number of points in the season and in the summer where you could actually chart his unrest and you knew there was something going to unfold. But nevertheless, it's still that part that I think irks most Celtic fans.
Yeah, I think most of the Celtic fans will be let down by the time scale of it. Everything that they were going for, the treble, and everything that brings with it, and they'll find it very difficult to get their head round of why he came to that decision. But I think if we look at it behind the scenes, there was a lot of things that he wasn't happy with, the signing policy, whatever that was between him and Peter Lawwell, and I don't think for a minute he thought that Celtic was going to be a stepping stone for him to get a big English club. I think he'd made up his mind that the only way he was going to get a top 6 team was to go down and show everybody what he can do in the Premiership, not in domestic football in Scotland.
Yeah, no surprise that Brendan, obviously with Leicester City in mind, released this quote to the supporters of his new club. I'm very privileged and honoured to be here as Leicester City manager, and I'll give my life to make the supporters proud of their club. Together we'll be stronger, and I'm looking forward to working with the players, staff and supporters to make the right steps forward. Well, that was Brendan Rodgers. What about Neil Lennon?
This is a club that means a hell of a lot to me, as a player and as a manager. And you know, 4 great years here as a manager. It's a privilege. These opportunities come around once in a lifetime for me. It's come around twice in a lifetime now. So I'll deal with all the other stuff as best I can. But for the short term, just focusing on game by game and making sure we do the right things at the right times. You dream of it, you don't believe it. But yeah, you know, one day I was hoping I would walk back through the doors, and it's come. Maybe a bit sooner than what I thought, but it's come.
William Wright on Facebook, Ruffy, mentioned something that I think a number of people have actually... We love conspiracy theories and grand plans. William reckons that someone clearly knew this was happening. This was all unfolding according to plan. The Hibs departure, waiting, Brendan goes, and, you know, he's back in there at Celtic. That's some plan if it was put in place.
No, I can't get my head around that one at all. Find it hard to get my head around how quickly Brendan Rodgers' move was completed. In this day and age, with the kind of money we're talking about, that I would say could have been on the go for maybe a week or two and maybe kept under wraps, because that happened far too quick for me. But these things happen in the game. You've just got to accept it. I think full credit to Neil Lennon. He's put his name on the line here. You know, if this goes pear-shaped, not saying it will, he's the one, you know, that's going to get tarnished with it. But I'm sure Neil will go in there. He knows what it's about, and starting tonight will be a gauge of where we're going to go with this.
Yeah, and of course with the new man in place and Brendan down in the Premier League, 2 and 2 usually makes 5, because Tam said there's no way some of the players will be leaving because of speculation that maybe even Kieran Tierney could be wearing the blue of Leicester next season. But Neil Lennon has a word of warning for some players who think the grass is greener elsewhere.
What I would say to the players from my own experience is, once you leave Celtic, it's not the same. It's a very special club, with very special support. And I know from my own experience and players who I played with, once they leave the club, there's a bit of a hole there. You know, something in your spirit that's just not quite the same. It's magical what this club provides for players, and if they are thinking about leaving, I'd make them think twice.
Yep, okay, that's the warning for the players. You know only too well, leaving Rangers, what was it like joining other clubs? Was there a sense of not the same grandeur of playing for a big club?
Yep, I knew after a week, if I'm being honest. It was not the same demands and the pressures. And I was one of the lucky ones that I get the chance to come back a second time. And I always say to players, if they've got an opportunity to play at Rangers, or be it what Neil Lennon just says there about Celtic, there's no many bigger clubs or better clubs about, that's for sure.
Yeah, John Kennedy is delighted. He's the new number 2.
You know, I spoke to the players yesterday, filled them in on what was going on, you know, explained that there's a possibility a manager might be appointed later last night, which is obviously going to be Neil, and there'll be a kind of restructuring. Okay, but I think Neil's touched on it as well. It's the most important thing here is, you know, Brendan's done a terrific job. You know, he's decided to move on. These things happen, but ultimately the players have been a massive part of the success as well. So it's Brendan's decision. You would have to ask him the main reasons for that. He's the only one who can tell you. You know, from me, it's just a case of, I've got a job to do here. You know, I'm employed by Celtic, and as Neil touched on, it's about the club, it's about the players. You know, and it's going and putting a performance in tonight at Hearts and getting a result there, and that'll kick-start us now, hopefully for the end of the season.
In a strange sort of way, he's probably the only man that could have gone in there and made it a smooth transition, Ruffy. He's well equipped for it.
Yeah, it's a safe pair of hands. You couldn't get any safer. You know, his record at Celtic speaks for itself. The fans will be 100% behind him. And the players will be 100% behind him. And that's what you want. I don't think you could have brought any other person in, because they wouldn't be seen in the right light.
Yep, you can give us your thoughts on that. We've got Facebook Live reading out some of your messages. Remember, try and keep them clean because usually the ones that come in are absolutely battering Barry. But nevertheless, we're going to get Barry's thoughts coming up pretty soon because Steve Clarke says he's going nowhere at Kilmarnock. And what about Alfredo Morelos? Where's he going? Thank you for joining us on Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. We're talking about the Celtic job, Neil Lennon in charge tonight. Whether he'll take his place in the dugout for Celtic against Hearts at Tynecastle, only time will tell. We've got a full card tonight to look forward to. Well, in fact, 5 of the 6 games. St Mirren against Livingston on the Saturday. Aberdeen, Hamilton, Hearts against Celtic, Kilmarnock, Motherwell, Rangers against Dundee and St Johnstone against Hibernian. Now, I'm going to talk about Steve Clarke here, Ruffy, because he's mentioned that if he is going anywhere, it won't be to another Scottish club in the summer. This is obviously because Neil Lennon's on the interim basis. They reckon Steve Clarke could be linked with the Celtic job, but there he is. I've always said I won't leave Kilmarnock for another Scottish club, and that remains the case. It's 100% certain that I'll go back to England. That's for sure. That's where my family and my life is. I may be second favourite with the bookies, but that's the bookies. I've backed a few long shots in my time. Well, I would suggest to you this, while he seems to be resolute in his thinking on that, managers sometimes don't tell you the exact truth of how things can unfold, Ruffy.
Yeah, well, in this instance, I've got to take his word for this one. You know, I think he's already come out and stated the reasons why he's going to do it. He seems his family is more important than most football other guys, and that will be the way he will make his decision on his future. I think he's already stated about all the carry-on that goes on up here. He doesn't want his family affected. And I think I would take his word on that one. I think if there was a championship club came along, he would take that.
I'm not bad. If Celtic or Rangers come in for you, you've got to take the chance. A massive club. I know what Ruffy's saying. The last couple of weeks have been tough for him, but you can't turn down one of the big 2 if they come in for you. That's impossible for me.
Yep, it'll be interesting to see what he does, if indeed he is in any way approached in the summer. But let me suggest this to you, Ruffy. If Celtic win the league and the Scottish Cup, I think, never mind a treble, I think Neil Lennon will get a 3-year deal.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the fans are already on board with Lenny, and if that was to happen, I think they'd be even more so. I don't think they could offer it to anybody else. You know, he's already been there before. He's given them a lot of success, and they'll see that as the way ahead. I think now Celtic are all about domestic football here. Neil will want to challenge again at the top of European football, but it doesn't seem to be the target just now. It just seems to be keep dominating domestic football as long as possible till it's 10 in a row.
Yep, okay, let's switch our attention to a man who also could be heading out of Scottish football, potentially in the summer. I'm talking, of course, about Alfredo Morelos. Quotes attributed to the Rangers player. This is what the Colombian had to say. There are many teams interested in me, and a lot of them have watched me play. Most likely my transfer will be this summer. With the amount of goals I have scored, I know it has been noticed by European clubs. I've always said I would like to play in the English Premier League. Well, you've got to commend him for his honesty.
Yep, I was disappointed when I read the quotes. As I said, I've been a big fan of him. As I said, I wasn't sure when he first came in, but this season he's been Rangers' top player by a country mile. And it's clear that he wants to go and play in the Premier League, if the quotes are true. But Rangers will need to demand a big fee because he'll be worth a right few pound, because obviously the goals he scored and the performances he's put in for Rangers this season have been different class.
Yeah, I mean, he's been absolutely superb. We've already, I think, mentioned, and I wonder what you think yourself on a potential player of the year. I think he's in the box seat, Ruffy, on this one.
Yeah, at this moment in time, he'll be in the 4. There's no doubt about that. I think the players would vote for him as well, so he'll be well up there, and he will continue to score goals. I think this is the same as the Dembele situation at Celtic. I think we saw bids come in for him, you know, and I think the club's obviously said, look, we're not accepting any of these bids. You just wait to the end of the season, and if the right bid comes in, we'll look at it and we'll go with you. And that's when sometimes it goes a bit pear-shaped, because the player's already made his mind up. I'm away. Don't care what bid comes in. But Barry's right. The club need to get as much money as possible out of the club that comes in for him.
Yeah, strangely enough, you know, whereas before you would be, you know, supporters are sometimes angry at losing a special player. I think most Rangers fans are resigned to losing him. It's just they'll be looking for a fair price.
Yeah, as I said, they will be disappointed if he does go, but they'll understand when you put performances in up here like he has done this season, there is going to be big clubs down south and in Europe that are going to stand up and take notice of their performances.
Yeah.
Look, they're disappointed at the start, but I'm sure most fans understand that players do want to go and play at the highest level.
Yeah, Xander McGowan on Facebook has just mentioned to us he reckons Callum McGregor could be the one that really could push him for Player of the Year. I'm trying to think of other outstanding candidates. I think Xander's got a point. He'll be in there in the mix, Ruffy.
Yeah, I think unfortunately for Callum McGregor, he's going to be out for a month or two. You know, that could hinder him, you know, but there isn't many big candidates just now. Morelos is the one that's scoring the goals.
Yeah, that's the top 2 for me, but Morelos obviously edges it because the goals win you games, and he's been Rangers' main player. But Callum McGregor, again, like I keep saying it, he is probably one of the first names on the Celtic team sheet.
Yeah, okay. As far as the games are concerned, I mean, Hearts against Celtic is the key game. How are you going to call that one?
I don't think it will make a difference losing Brendan Rodgers. I've said Neil Lennon knows the club inside out, and I think Celtic will win the game by 2-0.
I think this will be as fiery as usual. You know, I think it'll be quite tight, but I still think Celtic will win 2-1.
Yeah, well, as long as there's no coins, I think we'll all be happy, because this season has been absolutely mental. We've had absolutely everything that Scottish football could throw at you. I wonder if you're a neutral looking at our game from out with this country, what we think of it. You can give us your view on events tonight, who you think is going to win. Rangers have got a good record against Dundee. I don't envisage any slip-ups. If anything, you know, you would look to them to rack up a few goals, Barry, against Dundee.
Yep, and get the goal difference up, and I think that's what will happen. I think Rangers will win this game pretty easily. I think 4 or 5 goals they'll pop in.
4 or 5 goals? Have you put that in your predictor?
I put 4 in.
Ruffy, do you see it as convincing as that?
Yeah, I think on the evidence of Dundee's last game at home, their defence weren't particularly good. I think Rangers are firing on all cylinders, and if they were to score early, I think it could be 3 or 4 on it as well.
Yeah, talking about 3 or 4, I would imagine there's a good chance of that up at Pittodrie, Ruffy. Aberdeen against Hamilton. Greg Halford brought in to replace Shea Logan. It was certainly a surprise, and he's signed until the end of the season to help them out. It's Aberdeen against Hamilton. Yeah. Hamilton, I just think, are turning into the whipping boys at the moment.
They are turning into the whipping boys, and you would expect it to be another night. But I think if you look at the records, Hamilton have went up there and drawn with Aberdeen in numerous occasions at the end of the season. I don't know how they do it, but they seem to have that over Aberdeen in midweek games. I can't see it tonight. And the evidence of the goals that Hamilton lost against Rangers, I again think this could be 3 or 4.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, I'm not quite sure what you've done, Ruffy. It could be the fact that you're a bit of a Judas, to be honest with you, and somebody, a Jonah, who brings a bit of bad luck, because Williams said, "Hi guys, can you give a good luck message to everyone at Vancouver Whitecaps this season? But could it just be Peter and Barry who give them the best, not Ruffy? Because God knows what that would bring to Vancouver Whitecaps." Now, he can only be talking about since you've joined Thistle as a director,
right.
Because you're rock bottom. You were thumped last night.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, first half was nothing between the two sides. But again, in this league, if you get an early goal, it just gives you, a bit of power over the other side, and bad goals to lose. No complaints at all at the end of the day.
Yeah. Killie against Motherwell. Who's coming out on top, Ruffy, briefly?
A draw.
Well, that was brief. Barry?
I think Kelly will go over their slump, and I think they'll win the game 2-1.
Yep. Okay, St Johnstone against Hibs. Now remember, St Johnstone unbeaten in 7 against Hibs, winning 3 and drawing 4.
That's not going to change me. I've went for Hibs. I think Hibs, the boys at Hibs are trying to obviously impress a new manager, and I think Hibs will win the game.
Ruffy, if you say St Johnstone, I'm going to fall off this chair in amazement, by the way.
No, I'm going to go Hibs 2-1.
Hibs to win it 2-1. I think we've covered all bases here. We did do the Killie one. You can give us your view as well. Thanks to everyone who was interacting. William, Adrian as well, dropping his messages. You can give us your thoughts on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube as well. And you can join us Monday to Friday, where we're going to look at, of course, all the issues on the day. And, of course, look ahead to all the big matches. It could be an interesting night. The story of the day is Neil Lennon's return to Celtic. His heart will be beating that little bit faster as he comes out for the second coming as the Celtic manager. We will look at that tomorrow in the company of Hugh McDonald, who'll be joining us to look back over the 5 Premiership games. Thanks to Ruffy, thanks to Barry, and thanks to you for watching us.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.